Well, I never saw it coming. A large circular brick and stone object suddenly grew out of the middle of a roundabout on Robinwood Drive. Is this a monument to HCC or to engineering and design? Will the roundabout work and traffic smooth out, or will it make matters worse? Many are already concerned about the long-term traffic issues that have been created as a result of the construction. Doug, what say you?
Well, I'm going to surprise everybody and be relatively liberal about this. And what I mean is, I lived in the UK in the 80s, and I love roundabouts. I think they make perfect sense. I think that before people start hating on it too much, wait until this interminable construction job is done. And let's see, if there's 2 lanes, so you have an inner lane and an outer lane, I think people are going to like it, actually. The only thing I have a problem with, that wall seems a bit ridiculous, because you do want to see things coming around, because some people fly pretty fast around the roundabouts. But I love the idea of roundabouts rather than traffic lights.
I don't mind the idea of roundabouts. This one, to me, seems very questionable. I'm not even sure there's room for that second lane in there. So I don't know if there's going to be a second lane in there or not. And it seems to me as though the entire flow of traffic is going to favor HCC, which has a benefit to it. But if you're a poor person living in that apartment area next to it, you're pretty much screwed.
Okay, so Carl, you and I have a connection here because I lived in the UK for a couple years, and I also am in huge favor of roundabouts. I have to tell you, I recall, Bob, when you and I were on the council together, we had the review of traffic flow on Dual Highway and Robinwood Drive, and it was recognized by our engineering team that it was going to reach capacity, that both were going to reach capacity within the next 6 to 8 years, and that they needed to be addressed. So yes, the construction has been incredibly annoying, but I think that ultimately it's
Why is that construction taking so long?
You know why they had to move miles and miles of underground cables and everything, and when it froze the way it did the last 2 winters, that's what put them back. Because I was thinking, Milani, they've done a nice job. It's not their fault
to do the improvements on the Dual Highway.
I
mean, it was like forever.
Right.
It just seems interminable considering the geographic area that they're working on. But maybe the infrastructure is
roundabouts in the state of Maryland became a popular thing a couple of years ago. Okay, and everybody talked about it. Everybody, we got to do this. We've got to do that. We've got to do this. The roundabout they're putting up at the Western Maryland Parkway and 144.
Right.
Okay. I still why there have been very little traffic accidents.
No, you're right. That one seems redundant.
I mean, there is absolutely no reason for a roundabout at that location. All right. Usually, when you go from a standard, 4-way traffic, into a roundabout, it's because there have been numerous accidents and sight, sight distance, all those kind of issues. That has never been an issue there, but we're doing it. Of course, 144 is a state highway. That's why.
Now, what was the benefit to putting that roundabout in as opposed to leaving the light up and simply widening the lanes, maybe putting in another turn lane? It seems to me that would have been a heck of a lot cheaper and would have managed the traffic a lot better.
It was popular.
Why?
It just is.
Why? Because it looks pretty?
I do think.
We certainly don't know how to drive in roundabouts in Maryland, I'll tell you that.
We've been driving in the roundabout on Virginia Avenue for 50 years.
Yeah, well,
and now they're going to change that.
The problem with that one is it works backwards.
Doesn't matter.
It does work backwards.
It doesn't matter.
And everybody in the town thinks that's the way roundabouts are supposed to work.
Well,
so you don't yield when you're going in.
50 years. Why change it now?
Because it works backwards, Bob. All right.
But it works well.
No, it works backwards.
You're wrong. It works well.
Well, then make every roundabout in the city the same way, because they're not, and everybody in the city thinks that's the way roundabouts are supposed to go, so they don't yield when they're coming out of the street into the roundabout the way they're supposed to.
Okay, so we're going to change a roundabout in Virginia Avenue and cause 1,000 accidents because people are so used to it one way.
Or let's get back to topic and talk about a red light down there by HCC, which was working just fine. All you had to do is maybe put another turn lane in and stick another red light up there.
The problem with HCC and Robinwood Drive is the fact that traffic volumes are infrequent.
You would have half-mile long stops at the light.
You have various, spurts of movement on that
Right.
street
Well,
when classes go out of HCC or when the hospital
If you
lets out
had no
various
other
shifts.
community aspects but HCC, the roundabout might be great, but you do have other community aspects, such as that large apartment area over on the other side
But
of
that's
it.
that's
And those people
constant.
just
I
are not
think-
going to be able to get in and out during prime time at HCC.
I think long term, what you're going to see though, this is going to work, and here's why. I think long term, there's going to be some sort of back way out of HCC over to Varsity Drive.
Oh, that
The
would help
bridge
a lot.
It already
over
is.
the Antietam.
It's already there. I mean, it'll happen. You know, I
gonna
mean,
happen.
that was,
That would help a
and
lot.
Ashley brought that up at the beginning. You know, we looked at traffic studies years ago and realized that the only way to really ease traffic off of Mount Etna, Robinwood Drive, Dual Highway, is to create, you know, a bridge across the Antietam, a professional court, and connect it to
And Bob and I lobbied in Annapolis for 3 years straight on
I
that
mean, you know,
issue. And
that
I,
is-
really, absolutely.
that's the answer.
Let's
it
take
will
some
take
credit for the
thousands of cars a
solution.
day.
Stay tuned. Next up, the primary field is growing. Some would say to unmanageable proportions. In 3 minutes, the panel will weigh in on the Donald.